It started on a Sunday night. Nothing unusual, nothing strange, just another long, exhausting day. I had gone to sleep around 10 p.m., completely drained. I remember falling asleep almost instantly, but I woke up again around midnight. At first, I didn't even know why I had woken up. Then I remembered I had exams coming up. I still had a lot to study. So I got out of bed, turned on the light, and spent the next few hours going over my notes. The house was completely quiet. Everyone else was asleep. The kind of silence you only notice late at night, when the world feels like it's paused. By the time I finally finished, it was around 4 a.m. I felt exhausted again, mentally drained. I turned off the light and went back to bed. The room was completely dark. I lay down on my back, staring up at the ceiling for a few seconds before closing my eyes. And that's when it started. Almost immediately after I closed my eyes, I saw a light. A very bright, intense yellow light. Not faint, not distant. It felt like it was coming from directly above my head, which made no sense. There was nothing there. Just a wall, no lamp, no window, no source of light. And yet, it was there. Clear, strong, almost overwhelming. The strange part wasn't just the light. It was how it made me feel. It didn't feel threatening. It felt calm, almost comforting. For a moment, I didn't question it. If anything, I felt drawn to it, like it was something I should be looking at, something important. I remember thinking, this feels like those scenes in movies, where a bright light appears, and it means something divine, something beyond normal reality. I wasn't scared. Not yet. Then the light started to change. Shapes began to form inside it. At first, they were just patterns, abstract, flowing, almost like glowing lines moving in slow motion. Then those patterns started becoming more defined. They turned into something that looked like flowers. Bright, luminous flowers. But they weren't still. They were moving, expanding and collapsing, shifting through space in a way that didn't make sense, like they existed in more than one dimension at once. The space around them seemed to bend and ripple, as if reality itself was unstable. And the more I focused on them, the more real they felt. At this point, I was fully aware. I wasn't dreaming. I knew I was lying in my bed. I knew my eyes were closed. But what I was seeing felt just as real as anything I would see with my eyes open. Then something else appeared. A hand. It came into view slowly, from the side, reaching into that strange space. The hand looked human, but something about it felt wrong. It was decorated with red bracelets, multiple thin bands wrapped around the wrist. They stood out sharply against the rest of the scene. The hand moved gently, almost casually, as if it was trying to get my attention or signal something. It made a slow, waving motion, back and forth. For a moment, I didn't react. I just watched it, trying to understand what I was looking at. But then something in my mind shifted. A feeling. Not fear exactly, but caution. Like I shouldn't get closer. Like I shouldn't interact with it. So I pulled back, not physically, but mentally. I stopped focusing on the hand, almost like I was refusing it. And as soon as I did that, the entire scene changed. The light disappeared. The patterns vanished. Everything went dark, but not normal darkness. This was different. It was deeper, heavier, the kind of darkness that feels solid, like it has weight. And then something appeared directly in front of me. A face. So close, it felt like it was right in front of my own. At first, I couldn't fully understand what I was looking at. The shape was wrong. The proportions didn't feel human. And then I realized why. It wasn't a human face, it was something else, something animal-like. The skin, or whatever it was, looked completely black. Not just dark, but absorbing, like it swallowed any light around it. And yet, the eyes were human, perfectly human, clear, aware, looking directly at me. And then it smiled. A wide, unnatural smile, too wide, too deliberate. There was no emotion behind it, no warmth, no friendliness, just a smile. And then, it vanished. Just like that. No transition, no fading. 1 second it was there, and the next it was gone. Everything went completely black again. That same heavy darkness returned. I still didn't open my eyes. I don't know why. I don't know if I couldn't, or if I just didn't want to. But I stayed there, aware, completely conscious, trying to process what had just happened. Eventually, the darkness faded back into something normal. The kind of darkness you see when your eyes are closed. And only then did I finally open them. My room looked exactly the same. Nothing had changed. No light, no movement, no sign that anything had happened at all, but I knew it had. Because I remembered everything. Every detail. The light, the patterns, the hand, and that face. Even now, I can still see it clearly. And the strangest part is, I still don't know if I should have been afraid of it, or if I already was. Experiences like that are often explained away. People call them dreams, or stress, or the result of an overactive imagination. But there's one problem with that explanation. In many of these cases, the person isn't asleep. They're aware. They can think clearly. They remember everything. And sometimes, what they see doesn't stay confined to their mind. Sometimes it begins to feel like whatever they're experiencing is aware of them too. The next story comes from someone who experienced something similar. But unlike the first story, this didn't stay behind closed eyes, because what they saw that night followed them into the room. This happened a few years ago during a time when my sleep schedule was completely broken. I was staying up late almost every night, sometimes until 3 or 4 in the morning, scrolling on my phone, watching videos, or just lying there unable to fall asleep. It had become normal for me. That constant feeling of exhaustion during the day and alertness at night. On the night this happened, I remember being especially tired. Not physically, but mentally. Like my brain just wouldn't slow down. I finally decided to try and sleep around 3:30 a.m. I turned off the lights, put my phone down, and lay on my back staring at the ceiling. After a few minutes, I closed my eyes. At first, everything felt normal. Just darkness. The usual drifting thoughts. That strange in-between state where you're not fully asleep, but not fully awake either. And then, something shifted. It started with a sound. Very faint, like a soft, dragging noise. At first, I thought it was coming from outside. Maybe someone walking past the house, but the more I focused on it, the more it felt like it was inside my room. I opened my eyes. Everything looked normal. My room was exactly the way I had left it. Dark, quiet, still. The sound stopped. I waited for a few seconds, listening. Nothing. Just silence. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe I imagined it, so I closed my eyes again, and almost immediately, I felt it. That same strange awareness from before. Like I wasn't alone. Not a sound, not a movement. Just a feeling. The kind that makes your body tense without you understanding why. I kept my eyes closed. I didn't want to open them again. For some reason, I felt like I shouldn't. And that's when I saw it. At first, it wasn't clear. Just a shape forming in the darkness. Something tall, standing upright, right in front of me. I tried to ignore it. Tried to convince myself it was just my imagination. More like a shadow, stretched into the shape of a person. It wasn't moving, it was just standing there, watching. More like a shadow, stretched into the shape of a person. It wasn't moving, it was just standing there, watching. I could feel it. Not physically, but in that same way you can feel someone looking at you, even without seeing them. My breathing started to slow, not because I was calm, but because I didn't want it to notice me. I don't know why I thought that, but it felt important. Like if I stayed still, it might not come closer. Then something happened. that I still can't explain. I heard my name, not loud, not whispered either, just spoken, clearly, right next to my ear. My entire body tensed instantly. I wanted to move, to open my eyes, to sit up, but I couldn't. I was completely frozen. I realized then I couldn't move at all. My arms, my legs, my head, nothing responded. I was awake, fully aware, but completely paralyzed. And that's when I understood. This wasn't just something in my mind, because I could feel my body. I could feel the bed beneath me. I could feel my breathing. And I could still hear the room around me. This was real, or at least it felt real. The figure in front of me started to change. Its outline became sharper, more defined, and slowly, it leaned closer. The closer it got, the more wrong it looked. Its limbs were too long, its proportions unnatural, and where its face should have been, there was nothing, just darkness, a hollow space. But even without a face, I knew it was looking directly at me. And then I felt something. Pressure on my chest, like a weight slowly pressing down. My breathing became shallow. Each inhale felt harder than the last. I tried to move again. Nothing. I tried to speak. No sound came out. Panic started to build. But at the same time, there was something else. A strange sense of calm beneath it. Like part of my mind was telling me, don't react, don't fight it. Just wait. The figure leaned even closer, until it felt like it was right above me. And then it stopped. Everything went completely silent. No sound, no movement, nothing. And just like that, the pressure disappeared. I could move again. I opened my eyes immediately. My room was empty, no figure, no shadow, nothing. Just the same dark room I had been lying in minutes earlier. I sat up quickly, my heart racing. I looked around, checking every corner. There was nothing there. But the feeling didn't go away. That sense that something had been there. Something that had been watching me. And the worst part is, I don't know if it left, or if it's just waiting. For the next time, I closed my eyes. For most people, experiences like these are explained in one of two ways. Either it was a dream, or it wasn't real. But what makes these stories so disturbing is how often the person insists on the same thing. They were awake, aware, able to think, remember, and feel everything around them. And sometimes, what they experience doesn't stay confined to a single moment. Sometimes it follows them. The final story comes from someone who experienced something that didn't just appear once. It came back, again and again, each time a little closer, and eventually it didn't stay in the darkness anymore. I never used to think much about sleep. To me it was simple. You go to bed, you close your eyes, you wake up, that's it. No meaning behind it, no mystery. But that changed a few years ago. At first, it was subtle. Something I didn't even take seriously. Just small things. Faint shapes when my eyes were closed. Moving patterns, nothing unusual. Everyone sees things like that sometimes, at least that's what I told myself. But then those shapes started to become more consistent. They weren't random anymore. They felt structured, intentional, like they were forming something. The first time it really stood out to me, I had gone to bed late. Around 2 a.m., I remember lying on my side, trying to fall asleep. After a few minutes, I closed my eyes, and almost immediately, I saw something. A faint outline, like a figure, far away, barely visible. I didn't think much of it. I assumed it was just my imagination. But the next night, it happened again. Same shape, same position, always just out of focus, like it didn't want me to see it clearly. Over the next few days, it kept happening. Every time I closed my eyes, The figure was always there. At first, it stayed far away, just a shape in the distance. But slowly, it started getting closer. Not in a way that was obvious, not moving step by step. But each time I saw it, it felt nearer than before. And that's when I started to feel something was wrong, because it wasn't random anymore. It was consistent, predictable, like it was following a pattern. I tried to ignore it, tried to convince myself it was nothing. But one night, everything changed. I remember it clearly. It was late, around 3 a.m. I had been lying in bed for a while, unable to sleep. Eventually, I gave up and closed my eyes. And as expected, it was there. But this time, it was much closer. Close enough that I could make out details. Its shape was tall, unnaturally tall. Its body looked thin, almost stretched, and its head was slightly tilted, as if it was studying me. That's when I felt it. That same awareness, the same feeling from before, like I wasn't just seeing it, but it was seeing me too. I opened my eyes immediately. My room was dark, empty, nothing there. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. It's just in your head, I told myself. But something felt different. The room didn't feel empty anymore. I stayed still for a few seconds, listening. Nothing. Just silence. Slowly, I turned my head toward the corner of the room, and that's when I saw it. Standing there, in the darkness. The same figure. Not in my mind, not behind my eyes, but in my room. It wasn't fully visible, more like a shadow that didn't belong. Darker than the darkness around it. Its outline barely distinguishable from the rest of the room. But it was there, and it was looking directly at me. I froze, completely. I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. I just stared at it, trying to understand what I was seeing. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, silent, watching. Seconds passed, maybe longer. Time didn't feel normal anymore. And then, it tilted its head slightly. The exact same way it had when I saw it with my eyes closed. That's when I knew. This wasn't just something in my head anymore. I wanted to look away, to break eye contact, but I couldn't. It felt like if I did, something would happen, something worse. Then slowly, very slowly, it began to move. Not walking, not stepping, just shifting, sliding closer, without making a sound, without changing shape, just closer. My chest tightened. My breathing became shallow. Every instinct told me to run, but my body refused to move. The figure stopped, just a few feet away from my bed, and for the first time, I could see where its face should have been. But there was nothing there. No eyes, no mouth, just emptiness. And yet, I knew it was smiling. I don't know how I knew that, but I did. Then suddenly, I blinked, and it was gone. The room was empty again, completely normal, like nothing had ever been there. I sat up immediately, my heart racing. I turned on the light, checked every corner. Nothing. No sign of anything. But I didn't sleep that night, or the next one, or the one after that, because even now, every time I close my eyes, I still see it. Not as close as that night, but still there. Still watching. Still waiting. And the worst part is, I don't think it's getting further away. Some people will say these experiences have logical explanations. Sleep paralysis, stress, an overactive mind. And maybe, for some cases, that's true. But what makes these stories so disturbing is how real they feel to the people who experience them. The detail, the awareness, the memory that stays with them long after it's over. So if you enjoy true horror stories like these, make sure to subscribe, because there are many more experiences like this. Stories that haven't been explained, and probably never will be. And if you've ever experienced something like this yourself, feel free to share it in the comments. You never know, your story might be featured next. Until then, stay safe and be careful what you see when you close your eyes.